Calling all Swifties.
Hello, Adam Ryan Donato.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another hard review, and I'm talking about the other movie that came out on the third weekend in July, which is Where the Crawdads Sing. This is a movie that's based off a book that I have never read. I also didn't know anything about the book going into the movie, so that was a plus. This stars Daisy Edgar Jones. She burst onto the scene earlier this year with Fresh. That's when she first came into my world. It's basically the story of a woman who lives in the marsh. She's lived in the marsh her whole entire life. She gets accused of murdering a young, up-and-coming young man. She is innocent. It's going to court to prove her innocence. Let me preface this review by saying I recognize that I'm not the target audience. Like, there was a specific point in the movie where I specifically was like, oh, okay, it's not for me. I'll do a spoiler section at the end of this video and I'll talk about it then. I thought it was generally a enjoyable movie. I have it at a 3-star, closer to a 4 than it is to a 2, but I had a really good time with this. It felt like Gone Girl meets Twilight, and I'm being really nice by saying Gone Girl. It's definitely your teenage girl romance, love triangle bull crap. It's, you know, she's a strong, independent woman, and she's got to choose between two different good-looking men, and it was very transparent in that way. But like I said, it's not for me. I still had a fine time with it. I mean, I saw through all of the love triangle bullshit that they were doing, so none of that really interested me too much. I was much more interested in the trial about this girl because she lived in the marsh her entire life, so everyone has ostracized her. That's another thing. Like, bullying in movies really bothers me because it always feels inorganic, and especially here because they just hate her because she like lives in the marsh, and it's just like, guys, why do you hate her because she's poor? I mean, this is during the civil rights era, so like I understand why people would be bigots and be like hating someone because they're different, so that's fine. I'm just saying it's kind of cringy watching people bully people in movies. I like the setting of this movie because it felt fresh and different. There's a Taylor Swift song at the end that was very, very good. I was really surprised because everybody started standing up when the credits started, and I'm like, guys, this is when the Taylor Swift song starts. This is why we came here, okay? Daisy Edgar Jones was good. I did have a problem because like when she was like a little girl in this movie, because they kind of tell the whole story of her entire life, but when she's a girl, she's always got like dirt on her face and everything, like she's all dirty, and then once she becomes Daisy Edgar Jones, constantly clean, and I'm like, how is she taking showers? How is she staying so clean? And everyone's staying so clean, and we're all hanging around the marsh decades ago, and I'm like, there's no way that everybody's that clean. I don't know, it was weird. No, but it's generally likable movie, you know. She's friends with the shop owners, has a nice little relationship with them, and every time they were on screen it made me feel warm and fuzzy. Like I said, it's a 3 out of 5. I recommend this obviously for like teenage girls and like older white women, and if you like romance stuff, kind of like a coming of age little like courtroom drama. Okay, let's get into spoilers because that's what I really wanted to talk about. First of all, she eats cake with her hand, and that bothered me so much. She like picks it up with her fingers, and I'm like, don't do that. They also like make out in the water. I wouldn't make out with someone underwater in a pool. So if I'm not doing that in clean water, you bet your ass I'm not doing it in a lake or the ocean, wherever they are. I don't care. Like, that's gross. I think they have sex like on the beach, like in the sand. You know how much sand's gonna get everywhere? That's disgusting. I sound like such a prude right now, and there's other people sitting here like, I've done it, and it's a dream of mine. I'm just sitting here like, you're gross, you Neanderthal. Like, go to bed. Speaking of sex, the moment where I like checked out was when the first guy, the nice guy, about to have sex with her, and he's like, no, I can't. Just like, no, I don't want to do that. I respect you too much to have sex with you. And I was like, oh, this is that like female fantasy of like, oh, he's a really nice, good-looking guy and whatever, but he doesn't want to have sex because that's what Robert Pattinson in Twilight was like. It's like, oh, he's very good-looking and things are getting real hot and heavy and we're about to have sex, and he goes, no, I can't because I'll kill you. And here he was just, I think it was religious reasons or something, I don't even know. It gets hot when a guy doesn't want to have sex but you want to have sex with them. I don't know, I'm not the target demographic, so I'm sorry, but I just saw a comparison from other types of movies and I was like, oh, it's just the female fantasy romance of whatever. I get it. Other things that bothered me in this were, I was having an argument about why her brother shows up in the movie. I could tell there's a lot of stuff from the book was missing or was better in the book. All for the book is better than the movie in this instance, even though I hate reading. And I had a friend who talked to me about all the things that happened in the book that makes more sense. But he comes back after decades and he's like, hey, I saw your book in the thing. And she's like, oh my gosh, what happened to mom? And he's like, you didn't hear? Mom's dead. And I was just like, why is this in the movie? Why does he come back? Because he doesn't really do much. I mean, he goes to the court with her at the end. Is it just to deliver the information that the mom's dead? Because I feel like we could have gotten that by now. It would have been more powerful powerful if we would have left it up to, like, we assume that she's dead. Maybe she shows up at the end, she's walking up to the Marsh house or whatever, and dumb people would be like, well, why would she be the same age? And it's like, well, you don't get it, idiot. It's a metaphor. Speaking of the ending, this was the funniest ending ever. The moment she started doing the poem, which my friend told me that the whole book, she's like writing poems and reading those poems. So it's weird at the end when she just starts speaking in a poem, but makes sense in the book. But she's like, a predator must kill its prey. I lost it. I had to cover my mouth because I'm in an early screening. It was like a fan screening. I'm sitting next to like all these people and I had to like cover my mouth because I was so euphoric. Because the twist ending, it's funny because she wins the court case, right? Plausible deniability or whatever. How could she was gone and she had an alibi, and you think so you really think that she went to this place in the middle of the night, she got a bus and came back in a disguise, she killed the dude and then came back and did the next thing the next day, like her meeting or whatever she had to do? That turns out to be exactly what happened, which I thought was really funny. It was just so funny how like epic it felt in that moment, because she was like, a predator must kill its prey, so I did what I had to do. And it's so funny because her husband at the end is just like reading this note. It's just like, I love movies ending with like, what now? What are you supposed to do next? Where do you go from here? Because he just kind of like burns the note, and it's like, yeah, I get why you would do that, but like, you have to live the rest of your life, which might not be long, but still, you have to spend the rest of your life knowing that your wife was a murderer. She's justified. That dude was a rapist. He was terrible. I'm not gonna say he deserved to be dead. He's a very bad person. Karma is as such that I understand why it happened, but still, she's a murderer, okay? She killed somebody. You might feel a specific way about it. I don't know. I still, at the end of the day, wouldn't want my significant other to kill anybody in really any context. Like, even if it was like someone burst into our home, held up a gun, she just had one in her pocket, I guess, and killed him. I don't want that to happen. You know what I mean? I don't want that scenario to exist. I mean, I'm happy that she killed him as opposed to him killing her, but like, she still killed somebody. You know, that does things. That I imagine, I've never killed somebody, and I never met anybody who killed anybody. I don't think that would change how you feel about someone, and that would change how you feel about yourself and about life if you killed somebody. I don't know. I just thought that was great how at the end he's just like, what? Like, what do I do? She has the little like necklace she made him and it's taped in there, and he's just like, well, what the fuck now, man? It was really sweet when she finally sells her first book and she gets that check, and it's like, oh, okay, everything's gonna be okay now. Other than that though, yeah, it was fine. It was good. It was like closer to a 4 than a 2, but it's a solid 3 because I'll never watch this again. I recommend this more than Paws of Fury, which I just gave a 3 out of 5 to as well. I recommend this over Minions. I don't recommend it over Thor, even though I sit there and trash Thor all the time, but I do think I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed Thor. Obviously, it's better than Jurassic World, but everything else out in theaters that I didn't mention is better than this. Top Gun, even. Did you like Where the Crawdads Sing? Did you read the book? Am I a stupid man who doesn't understand the complexities, romance fantasies? What, tell me that I don't understand? I've spent 3 hours today already watching the 50 Shades of Grey unrated versions, okay? I'm halfway through and I'm gonna finish them by the end of the night. Oh my gosh, like, it is insanely bad. I'm learning, I'm taking notes on the female romantic fantasy. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys so much. And it's funny because when I did my Letterboxd review, I was like, I still don't know what a crawdad is, and people would respond to me like, it's a little like fish or whatever, I don't care. I was just like, no, I just think it would be funny if someone walked out of this movie, I was like, I want my money back, I still don't know what a fucking crawdad is.